Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Sally Pinto and I'm from the Yonkers Newark neighborhood naturally occurring retirement community. We launched back in January of 2020 and we're here to serve seniors 60 plus in Northeast Yonkers. We have lots of fun programs and activities, and we also have a lot of resources for you as well. Our programs include meditation chair yoga, body mind fitness, bingo, and any other programs that you might be interested, like arts and gardening. We have our resource specialist, Alyssa Smith, who can help you with finding services and activities out there for you, as well as our nurse, Barbara Simone, who can help answer your health-related questions. We're here for you, we're here for our community, and we look forward to seeing you in our programs. Enjoy.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alyssa Smith, the resource specialist with the Yonkers Newark. I'm here to help with application assistance, referrals for home delivered meals, and transportation services will be coming soon. We also offer Zoom activities and Zoom programs. And if you have any other questions or concerns, I'm here to help. Thank you so much and enjoy the program.
Welcome. I'm Barbara Simone, registered nurse. I recently retired from Westchester County's health department as a public health nurse. I am now here to try to assist you with any medical or preventive care issues. Enjoy this program, and I'm looking forward to working with you.
Hey everybody, thank you so much, Sally and Z, and everybody else who's joined. This has really been an excellent series with such a great group of participants, whether it's been through the chat box or verbally, whatever the case may be. It's been such a great time having everybody every other week. And hopefully we can continue in one way or another. So let's get started. Like Sally and Z mentioned, today we're going to be discussing healthy beverages. And I'm actually going to, just in case anybody hasn't been before, I always keep my phone in front of me and join that way so that I can look into the chat box right next to me. And so if you see me looking down, it's not because I'm being rude. I'm looking down to see if anybody's participated through the chat box. That being said, I'm going to start off with a little participation through the chat box and send you a link to our JSY Fruit Veggie website and directly connecting you to the recipe that we're going to be preparing today. It's a very, 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 very simple recipe, but the exact link I sent you is for all different types of fruit infused water. Today we're going to be actually preparing strawberry pineapple water, so you can see how simple the preparation is, and when you try it at home you'll see how delicious it is as well. So let's get started. This is always voiced by choice in this room. I will call out and ask questions, but you don't have to participate, although it's so much more fun when the class is interactive and everybody gets so much more out of it when you ask and answer questions. So, like I said, we're going to be speaking about healthy beverages. Can anybody name some beverages that they think are great options as healthy beverages, especially considering the fact that we're going into the summer months and we need to stay hydrated. Some people don't have a preference for, yes, zero water. She wrote juice. Katerina wrote smoothies. Sally wrote Gatorade. Okay, so we don't want to ever classify drinks or foods, anything that we put in our mouth necessarily as good or bad. But of course, there's going to be things out there that are better for us, better options. Every time we put something in our mouths, it's an opportunity to nourish ourselves and in the best way that we possibly can. And nourishing ourselves by encouraging proper growth and development. So we want to think of how can we hydrate, how can we drink in a way that will nourish our bodies in the best way possible. So like Steve mentioned, of course, we all probably know water is the best option. But some people, like I said, are not into just drinking water. It's, it doesn't have a flavor it takes getting used to, especially when you're used to drinking other things. So how can we make water taste more appealing? Or things that are not necessarily sugar sweetened? So, somebody just said something. So Sally wrote lemon. Yes, absolutely, lemon. Squeeze some lemon in. It gives it a completely different flavor without adding any sugar. Zero natural sweeteners. That's definitely an option. So like, I guess maybe adding a little lemon and maybe a little bit of honey or something like that. So yeah, absolutely. That's definitely an option to add a natural sweetener such as honey. But maybe we want to reserve our honey for something else. Maybe we wanted to add that honey in our oatmeal that day. So we want to think of maybe cutting back on our sugar in a different respect, like in our beverage. So yes, like Sally mentioned, adding other fruits besides lemon are a great option. And I think that maybe to get started today, instead of doing the recipe at the end, we'll start by actually preparing our recipe so you can see by the end of the workshop how colorful our fruit-infused water looks and how flavorful you can imagine that it'll be. So this recipe is actually a strawberry pineapple fruit-infused water.
Yesterday or something?
What was that?
We tried that yesterday at home.
Oh yeah, how did you like it?
It was great.
Oh good. Was it nice? Did it get nice and sweet?
It could have gotten sweeter. Probably left it overnight. We would have gotten sweeter, right?
There you go. So this recipe calls for just 2 cups of fresh or frozen strawberries, 1 quart pineapple sliced, or 1 20-ounce can of drained pineapple slices, water, and ice. So I actually took the recipe into my own hands. Why not? A berry is a berry. And instead of adding ice, I decided that I would use just frozen berries so that we get more flavor. And when they're actually mushy, as they would be when berries get defrosted from being frozen, you get a lot more of the sweetness a lot more quickly. So this is a berry mixture. It's raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, and strawberries. Of course, you can always find these easily in the frozen fruit section of a grocery store. Even sometimes pantries will have them. Just something to consider looking for when you're in the grocery store or when you're at a food pantry. Always check out that frozen section for different ideas. So the recipe calls for 2 cups of fresh and frozen strawberries. So we're gonna just do 2 cups of this berry mixture. And oops. So super simple. Put it right into the cup. So the recipe says to cut the strawberries. With the frozen, you don't necessarily have to cut them because so much of the flavor is going to come out anyway as it melts. And we want to keep this as simple as possible and encouraging you to actually want to make this on your own time. Why add the extra step of cutting the fruits? So as you can see, it's already starting to get really colorful. And by the end of this workshop, it's going to be really sweet and pink. Just again, putting it right in. And then I have my, again, frozen pineapples right here. And I'm just going to add those in as well. Okay, so I'm just going to close it up and you can see how beautiful it is. It's really great to have something like this prepared when you're getting together with family and friends. It's so refreshing. And you could probably leave it in your refrigerator for a day or two and it'll stay really fresh and delicious, and it'll probably just even get better and better as time goes by. So can anybody think of, explain to us, remind us why else we may want to cut down on our sugar sweetened beverages? So sugar sweetened beverages are loaded with extra added calories from the sugar. And what do extra added calories do? Of course, they contribute to overweight population and obesity. So sugary drinks are the largest contributor of added sugar in the diet. So when you think of something like a juice or a soda, you want to look at the nutrition facts label. And here in this nutrition facts label, we want to look at the sugar content. So in this particular nutrition facts label, this is for a can of soda, and this can of soda alone has 40 grams of sugar. So if you want to figure out how many teaspoons of sugar that equates to, you would just divide by 4. So for 1 can of soda, or you have to make sure that it actually says 1 serving. So in this instance, this can of soda right here is equivalent to 1 serving, and it has 40 grams of sugar. So we would divide 40 divided by 4, and you would see that this 1 can of sugar would be 10 teaspoons of sugar. And right here, you can see of course, we all have an idea of what a teaspoon looks like. So imagine dumping 10 teaspoons of this filled with sugar into a glass of water and then drinking it. Just to give you an idea, and maybe some encouragement on cutting back on having those sugar sweetened beverages. Not only that, but of course, they have no real nutritive value, and they're often filled with sodium as well. And as we know, it's good to try and cut back on our sodium intake. So when we're thinking about orange juice or milk or water, what do these different things have in common? They're all sources of hydration, but again, there's limits to the amount of sugar that we should be consuming in a day, or added sugar that we should be consuming in a day. And there's better ways of consuming it. So maybe rather than having the orange juice that usually has added sugar in it and decreased fiber in it than an actual orange would have, maybe you might want to save that for just having it as the whole fruit. It's juicy, it's hydrating, and it has so much more fiber that way. So it just gives us an opportunity to nourish our bodies a little bit better. With milk, of course, milk is dairy. Like, we absolutely should be consuming dairy in our diets. So maybe we're gonna have a glass of milk in our cereal in the morning or something like that. But maybe the other dairy that we're gonna have in the day would be some cheese on combined with one of our meals. So again, that's just another opportunity to consume some more water as your beverage choice. Can anybody tell me if they're looking at the ingredients label of a beverage or any food source, how they might recognize if something has sugar in it, maybe some other names for sugar? I'm sorry, let me just turn this around. So we were just talking about this, how to find out how many teaspoons of sugar are in something. So when we're thinking about figuring out if there is sugar in something, sometimes different companies try and disguise how much added sugar there is in something by using different names. So different names of sugar that you may find. Yes, Sally wrote fructose, absolutely. So fructose, I'm just gonna write it over here. I don't know if you guys can see fructose. Does anybody else know? So we have different names like sucrose. Basically all those words that you see on the back of something that ends in ose are things that have sugar in them. So that would be fructose, sucrose, maltose, corn syrup, anybody else? No. Nectar, molasses, pancake, and maple syrup and honey. These are all different ways of either using different types of added sweeteners or maybe trying to disguise those added sweeteners in different products so that maybe the customer or consumer doesn't recognize that they're consuming that extra sugar. So does anybody here, we were just talking before about serving size. Is everybody here familiar with how to determine what the serving size of a product is? So like I mentioned before, we can always find the serving size on the nutrition facts label. Often with many beverages, if you look closely, the serving size will say 2 servings. And so that's almost a way of like tricking us into drinking the entire thing and just looking down maybe at the nutrition facts label and seeing that maybe whatever it says, like 20 grams of sugar, not realizing that at the top it actually said 2 servings. So maybe it's a smaller container and we're thinking that that's meant to be had in one sitting, but meanwhile, if you finish that entire container, it's 40, you're really drinking 40 grams of sugar. So we really have to be careful that when we are drinking something that besides water, that we're always looking at the serving size and that it either says 1 serving or that we make sure that we have whatever that 1 serving is. So in this example, actually, this is an example of 2% reduced fat milk. And it says here that the serving size is 1 cup. So I don't know exactly how much this is supposed to be in this little example container here, but there's a good chance that this container is actually filled with 2 or 3 cups. So we will want to make sure that we account for that. So if that were the case, then we would be having 2 or 3 times the amount of sugar that this particular example shows. Let's see if anyone's written anything in the chat box. Does anybody have any questions on this topic? Any other examples of beverages that they like to consume that are healthy beverages? So before we got started today, oh, somebody just wrote something. Sally wrote Gatorade. Okay, so Gatorade and electrolyte beverages like Gatorade are great options of drinks to have when we've exercised for a really long time, to probably for over an hour at a time, to replenish our electrolyte stores, like things like potassium and sodium. All of these things get really depleted when we're doing very intense physical activity for more than an hour at a time. So yes, for athletes, absolutely. Or Gatorade is a great option because generally athletes tend to be doing rigorous physical activity for more than an hour where they need to replace their electrolyte stores so that they don't become ill. Or, you know, another time that generally in these classes we talk about wellness and how to maintain our wellness, but in the instance that say we're sick with like a stomach bug or something like that and we need to replenish our electrolyte stores from vomiting or something, or having diarrhea or something like that, yes, maybe that's another time that we might need to, but of course speak to your doctor first, but it's another time that we might want to replenish our electrolyte balance. But Gatorade otherwise tends to be very, very high in sugar. And in general, unless we're doing intense or vigorous activity for more than an hour at a time, especially like on a hot day or something like that, then we don't necessarily need it. If we love it and we want to have it, how can we cut back on the amount of sugar that is in something like a Gatorade or a soda or whatever the case may be. So something that once in a while, if I get in the mood for something that's a sugar sweetened beverage, something that I'll do is I'll just water it down. If I know like I'm really not in the mood for just plain water, and maybe I forgot to do my fruit infused water, I'll do something like have a quarter cup of apple juice and I'll fill the rest of the cup with water, and you'd be so surprised how much flavor is still in that, how much it still tastes exactly like the juice that you're consuming, even when you add that much water to it. That's how much sugar is in some of these beverages or juices. Zero cucumber water is great, absolutely. She wrote milkshakes, but you have to make them yourself. Otherwise, there's lots of weird additives. That can tend to be true too. Yeah, absolutely. So milkshakes or smoothies are a great option, and number one, a great way of absolutely hydrating ourselves, but not only hydrating ourselves, but nourishing ourselves. Making smoothies such as fruit smoothies, and I can actually send you a link for a fruit smoothie as well. I'll put it in the chat box. So in this example, this is a fruity banana smoothie. So actually the recipe calls for 1 peeled banana, 1 cup of vanilla yogurt, 2 cups of peach slices, 2 cups of frozen strawberries, and a quarter cup of skim milk. This sounds like a really delicious recipe. What's something that we might want to change about this recipe? Again, it was a banana, vanilla yogurt, peaches, strawberries, and a quarter cup of skim milk. Let's see. Vivian wrote, is it healthier to use water to decrease the sugar in juice? Yes, so back to what we were talking about before. Yes, it's absolutely healthier to add water to decrease the sugar in juice. That not just like healthier, but the fact that we're reducing, that we're reducing the sugar by adding the water, and we really much of the time get very much the same flavor when we add water to something. Maybe you do half juice, half water, or 3/4 water, 1/4 juice, something like that. So in regards to the smoothie, another way to cut back on sugar in a smoothie would be, yes, absolutely, use the yogurt. You're getting in your dairy, which has your calcium and your vitamin D, and which is great for your bone health. But something that I recommend you do is to use a plain low-fat yogurt instead of a vanilla yogurt, because those flavored yogurts have so much added sugar in them, and especially if you're making a fruit smoothie, it's not necessary to have a flavored yogurt because you're getting so much flavor from the fruit. So why add in all of that extra sugar? When you compare the nutrition facts label between a plain yogurt and a flavored yogurt, you'll see what the difference is between, and what a vast difference is between the sugar sweetened flavored yogurt and the plain yogurt. And in the end of the day, once you combine them, mash up the fruit or put it in a blender, you end up with pretty much the same flavor as you would if you were to use the flavored yogurt versus the plain. So yeah, so with that fruit smoothie, I definitely recommend using, again, plain low-fat yogurt, whereas this recipe actually calls for 1 cup of vanilla yogurt and doesn't specify low-fat yogurt. again, another way to cut back on the calories in general is to use a low-fat dairy product versus a full-fat dairy product, and you're getting just as much nourishment from the low-fat dairy product versus the full-fat. So let's see. Something else that I recommend if you're somebody that loves soda, now these days it's become so popular to find different flavored sparkling waters. This is a really great option. Instead of having a soda, you can have something like a black cherry sparkling water. It's delicious, refreshing, and you get really a very similar flavor. Even if you're someone who loves Sprite, maybe you have lime flavored sparkling water. And this is something that has, if you look at the back, if we were in person, I'd be able to go around the room and show you how this nutrition facts label has 0 calories, 0 fat, 0 sodium, 0 carbohydrates. It has nothing. It's just carbonated water, natural flavors, as they say. And there's no added sugar. Has so much great flavor in it. So it's just a way of getting in our desire for that bubbly taste of soda, but not getting the sugar or the calories from it. Of course, something else that I sometimes recommend if you really are, again, in the mood for something that is actually a sugar sweetened beverage, that's a soda. Like you would do with juice, doing half juice, half water, or a quarter juice, 3/4 water. You could do something like having a quarter soda and then adding plain seltzer to it. And again, you will be so surprised how similar in flavor it still tastes when you add that much plain, unflavored, unsweetened seltzer water to that soda. Oh, somebody wrote, I wanted to ask about vitamin water, if that is also considered a good option too. Again, vitamin water is another one of those things that's marketed to us as something that's very healthy. I don't want to necessarily call it unhealthy, but it's, again, it's really water that's filled with a lot of sugar that we don't necessarily that we don't need. And again, maybe after like very rigorous physical activity that lasts for more than an hour, we need to quickly replenish our stores, maybe in an instance like that. Or maybe right before a sporting, again, right before very rigorous activity that's going to last a long amount of time. But again, it's not something that I'd recommend, but if you're really in the mood for it, we just want to think outside the box as to how we can at least reduce the amount of sugar that we're consuming while still getting the joy of drinking something that we love, say it's vitamin water or soda. How can we reduce the amount of sugar that's in things like that? So it's always trying to mix it at least with something that's plain and unsweetened, like a plain seltzer or a plain water, and maybe adding a lot of ice to it, different things that'll essentially water it down, but not necessarily take away from tons of the flavor. You really be surprised if you try it out, how much flavor you'll still have in those different drinks when you add water to them. I don't even want to say water it down because it doesn't sound as delicious. So I just give it a try. I highly recommend it. I wish I were there with everybody so I could give you little samples so you could really taste how similar these different beverages still taste when you add unsweetened beverages to them. Again, I want to ask, does anybody have any questions? I believe that Sally and Z have some handouts for you that I'd love for you to take a look at if you get a chance. One is called Sugar Sweetened Beverages Nutrition Facts Label, and the other is called Rethink Your Drink with No Sugar Added to Save on Calories. And so these, for instance, the Rethink Your Drink with No Sugar Added to Save on Calories, it just talks of how to, just different healthy swaps that you can make. So for instance, here, one of the healthy swaps would be, we're talking about a coffee. So it says a grande flavored latte with whole milk, 16 ounces would be 280 calories. So if you swapped that for a grande sugar-free flavored latte with skim milk, it would be 130 calories. So you'd be saving, just in that one little instance, 150 calories. So just think how far that really goes. If you're on the typical 1,800 to 2,000 calorie average diet, by saving that 150 calories, how far that would take you in the course of your day. Some easy ways to maintain your hydration and maybe not get to that point that we're really craving a sugar sweetened beverage would be to always try and carry around a water bottle with you and refill it throughout the day. Or maybe we prepared some fruit infused water, we're putting it in a big jug that we could take with us throughout the day and drink throughout the day, so we have that really flavorful water with us. Again, adding things to summarize, like lemon, lime, cucumber, watermelon, all these different options are great ways of flavoring our waters. And again, adding maybe a splash of 100% juice to sparkling water really gives a refreshing, low calorie drink. Really try and share these different options with your friends and family, because as we go into the summer months, it's really so important that all of us stay hydrated and that we're hydrating ourselves in a nourishing, refreshing, healthy way, and we're not loading up on sugar. Save those sugars for a treat. Go out and have an ice cream here and there. Don't waste it on your sugar sweetened beverages when there are so many really delicious ways of consuming healthy beverages. Does anybody have any other input or questions? All right, well, so if nobody has any other input or questions, as you can see here, how beautiful this water became, how and it's really going to be so flavorful.
We had a question in the private chat about containers for your juice, plastic versus glass versus other containers. Can you talk a little bit about, carrying your beverage around all day and if it heats up, et cetera, because some people are concerned about plastic versus glass or other choices.
So this is not my area of expertise, but of course, when I'm carrying around a bottle, I'm generally trying to, yes, carry it in glass or like an insulated type container so it stays nice and cool. And if I'm using plastic, to make sure it's BPA free. But again, it's not my area of expertise, but I absolutely recommend being sure that, if we are using plastic, that it's at the very least BPA free.
Thank you. Yes, because that's really important. I like the spout on the like big mason jar that you mixed everything in. It's like a mason jar type.
Yeah, it's cute, right?
Yeah.
My mother-in-law got it for us.
How much does that hold?
You know what? I don't know. I'd be lying if I told you.
All right. No, I was like, one pitcher is worth like a normal pitcher that like you pour when you put the water in. Did you just go to the tap or?
Yeah, I'm pretty much at almost at the top.
Okay.
But the recipe doesn't necessarily call for a specific amount of water, but you could tell by the recipe that it was calling for a really nice large amount of water. So
Yeah.
I filled it as far as I thought that it should go.
We have a comment in the chat. Looks almost like a gallon of milk size.
Probably a little, yeah, actually, yeah, it's probably about a gallon, come to think of it. Absolutely. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, they've come a long ways with mixing containers and carrying containers to make it easier for people. You could put a carabiner on your carrying around container, and they have sprouts and different lids to make it easier for drinking, so you don't have to like unwrap or unscrew. Yeah.
Absolutely, and you can get ones that are in a carrying case and wear them as crossbody bags, so you can be hands-free with it most of the time. Anything that it takes to encourage you to drink, I highly recommend it. I'm big into backpacks in whatever way, whether it's a nice refined backpack or a sporty backpack. I'm always throwing in my water in there, and it just makes it easy for me to carry different things around that I need. Does someone say something else? Where can you get that container to infuse the water? I didn't actually purchase this container, but I believe that really you can use any type of container. And something that I can do, as one of our JSY nutrition education tools, we have these fruit infusers for water, and that's something that I could actually bring by the Yonkers Public Library for anybody that wants to go pick it up. I could bring those in, so you'd be able to just infuse the fruit into the water really nicely. I'm sure, would anybody be interested in going to the Yonkers Library to pick that up?
We have some thumbs up and some private chat saying yes, so we can arrange that and then we could put it out.
Okay, great.
That would be awesome. Yeah, those are nice goodies to have.
Yes, definitely. But you could probably find something like this at like Amazing Savings or any of those variety stores, I imagine.
Hi, everyone. This is Z from Yonkers Public Library. Thanks so much to Sally Pinto and Alexis and Barbara from Newark. Thank you to our community partners, WJCS, the City of Yonkers Office for the Aging, Westchester County Legislator Ruth Walter, Friends of Crestwood Library, and Yonkers Public Library for making this phenomenal partnership. And we thank each and every one of you for being part of our wellness community. Be well, stay well.